Good morning. Welcome back to the forest. So it is morning time. I actually went to bed at 11:30 last night, so I got up at 5:30, packed up and left around 6 a.m. One of the reasons is this is the first day of the Overland Expo West for 2023, Friday. So there's an influx of overlanders in the area. I've seen them on the roads and stuff, and so all the national forests and the camping areas to the north by Flagstaff are overrun, and hopefully, unlike last year, they notice that when they come in, there is a fair amount of trash left out in the wild, so hopefully people clean up after themselves. But I'm staying away from that, get out early. I thought make some coffee, and instead of making lunch, I'm making, like, I guess you call it brunch, right? Because it's still a little bit early. But I brought some fish today, and I brought a steak in case I don't like the fish or mess up the fish. Doing a little bit of surf and turf, I guess. We'll see how it turns out. I had a wild idea to do fish. I hadn't done fish forever. I don't usually cook fish a lot myself, and I do enjoy it. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. It's a little weird this early in the morning because the sun is a lot lower, and it's you can park your vehicle to where your awning is most efficient for the sun. But it's so early that it's just coming in, so I'm sitting off to the side, made some coffee. I'm gonna have a nice, relaxing day today, I believe. The thing is, I'm a little bit sore, and for good reason. Yesterday, I went and worked on my 60 Series Land Cruiser. Had a lot of little things. I mean, there's always a ton of stuff to do on it. I'm still in the beginning stages of this thing, but I had a lot of little things to do. And I actually got a bunch of stuff knocked out, at least in my mind. But I was, up, down, up, down. I was rolling underneath the car on my little creeper. So had to get under there a bunch of times, like 50 times. I don't know how many times it was. But what I did was I replaced the seal on the rear axle, the pinion seal, where it was leaking out of. So we'll see if that works. You never know until you replace it and drive. And then while I was there, I took apart the rear driver brake to see what was wrong with the parking brake, because it was like, it didn't work. Like, you pull it up and it would move, but then it would just go solid. So I figured they have these cranks, I think they call them bell cranks or something, that turn at the brake drums. And so I took it all apart. They get rusted up solid. So I took it all apart, took all these springs off. Once I got everything apart, it's like, oh, it was totally free and loose like it's supposed to be. So I kind of tore all that apart for nothing. Put it all back together, and I found out that it had to be the cable. It had to be the cable. I actually did that the week previous, tearing apart the brake. So I was able to order a cable. So yesterday I had the cable. I put the cable in. The parking brake works great. It actually works really good now. So we got a parking brake. It's a manual transmission, so you need to have that parking brake. I couldn't even park on my driveway. I had to go up to the flat part. So parking brake's fixed. That's a great thing. And one other thing that I had was all my gauges worked except my speedo. My speedometer didn't work once I got this thing running and test driving. So the vehicle came with a few boxes of parts. I didn't know if they were new. I mean, not new, but I don't know if they were bought as, used replacement parts, or if it was stuff that he had already taken off. But I had, some gauge cluster. I did have a speedo, and there was a speedo cable, because those older vehicles are driven by a cable that spins. It attaches to the back of the transfer case. So I took that cable and I took the speedo that I had. I put my drill on it and turned it, and that was working. I knew the cable and the spare stuff was working, and the speedometer. So then I took the gauge cluster out, took off the cable, hooked my spare cable on, turned it, and the speedo was working. So I said, well, it's got to be the cable, right? You do all that because cable's kind of a bear to change. The only thing that's really, really difficult is there's this grommet that it goes through the floor, and the hole, it's like the hole is this big and the grommet is this big. They really want you to jam that grommet in there tight. So I changed the cable. And then in true fashion for myself, peace of mind, I took the cable that I took out and I hooked it up to the drill and I spun it, and the other end didn't turn, so it was broken inside. Went for a test drive, that worked. So I got the speedo fixed, I got the parking brake fixed, and I got the pinion seal fixed. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, you're running cables that go up through the floor of the vehicle. I did some cleaning and stuff, looked at other things. I do have some leaks under there. The transfer case is leaking. So you take it in steps, step by step, to get things worked out. And I took it for a test drive, and it was so nice to see, well, one, the parking brake working, and number two, that the speedo was working. Now what I need to do is bring my GPS with me and see how accurate the speedo is to like the GPS speed. These vehicles, all these vehicles that I have bigger tires on, the Lexus and this one, both are about the same. They both say I'm going 5 miles an hour faster than I actually am. 4 to 5 miles an hour across. It's linear, so that's good. That's good to know. You just know that, and then you got your speedo compensated for. So I've got a couple pieces of garlic here I'm gonna chop up, and I got some tomatoes, and I've got some basil, and we're gonna make up something hopefully for this fish. Someone gave me an idea about it. I don't usually do this type of stuff out here, but cut this really nice and thin. Nice to have a really sharp knife doing this. Almost like a razor blade. It's actually a fair amount of garlic. I welcome you guys to give any advice when it comes to fish. Maybe something that you do, maybe your own recipe, what you like to do. I'm just trying some stuff today, and we'll see how it turns out. But definitely interested to see, because I know a lot of you guys out there do fish. You fish a lot, or you buy fish and you cook fish. So it should be interesting to hear from you guys down in the comment section. All right, so it looks like she got me a tilapia fillet from Honduras. I don't know how it's fresh if it's from Honduras. Anyway, $3.76. Let's see what this thing looks like. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this in some aluminum foil. Smells good. You don't want your fish to smell like fish. All right, so a couple things. Again, I'm shooting from the hip here, so if you guys chime in, definitely chime in the comment section about how you do things. I'm just trying some stuff out here. So I'm gonna put a little olive oil in here. A little salt and pepper. I might as well use some of that sweet heat. And then I'm going to throw a little piece of butter that I brought with me. Let's see. I don't know if I want to wrap it into like a little oven thingy. I might. Something like that. Got a little area that might work. So while I have that going, what I have here is, it's like the stuff you kind of make the bruschetta out of, right? So I got fresh garlic, I've got tomatoes, and I've got some basil and some olive oil. Looks really good in there. Scoop this out on bread. What I'm thinking about doing is, I didn't bring bread, I want to put this on top of the fish as a garnish. Really heavy on the garlic. The amount that I put in was told by my garlic loving better half. I might have put too much in, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Turn it off and let it just chill in there. I gave this just a touch of heat, just to maybe toast up and soften up that garlic just a little bit. Should be good. Should be good to go. Thinking about leaving it in the aluminum foil. All those glorious juices in there. Oh yeah, it's like fish stew with the juices from in here. That's really good. Wow, the flavors so far haven't put too much garlic in. There's some birds flying over. I think they want some. They're circling me up there. So this bruschetta mix, it's pretty good. It turned out good on here. It's a really, I'm feeling some heat. I don't know if it's from that sweet heat, probably more so than, it's not garlic heat. crushed it. If I had some bread, I could use the rest of this. I don't know what do you call it? It's not bruschetta without the bread, but it's the, the stuff that goes on top of it. Getting a little heat. I don't know if that heat was from that sweet heat. When I used that before in a steak, I didn't get any heat. This must be the mixture of the garlic and everything, but it's really like a subtle heat. This thing, very flavorful. So good. It's so quiet out here. A woodpecker off in the distance. A few birds flying over. So quiet you can hear the air over their wings. Once in a while I get some random plane. But it's pretty nice. These little adventures, it doesn't always have to be some big deal, right? Like today is really, had to think about the additional people around for the Overland Expo, and had to think about the monsoon rains we've been getting on a daily basis in the afternoons. So I thought, go out, drive a little bit in your four-wheel drive, set up, cook. It's like cooking at home, right? It's like cooking in the backyard or cooking something up, just making yourself some lunch. But doing it out here brings that to a different level. Coming out here relaxing like this, and just been sitting here for a while, listening to the quietness of the forest. It's getting pretty green, having these rains early. Usually it's later in the summer that it's really, really green, but during the most of the day we're getting really good sun, and then getting that water. We had really good snowfall. This past year, it's been I've been here a little over 6 years now in Arizona, and this was a little bit of a unique year. So the winter was pretty mild. I would consider it mild, but we got a lot of snow, which was cool. It's the balance. See, we didn't get the snow and the extreme cold temperatures. Last year it was every night it would get down into 15, 16, 17 degrees at night, Fahrenheit, and it was pretty cold. And it would be that cold in the morning when you get up to take off on a little trip like this. But it wasn't so cold, it maybe 10 degrees difference this year, but got a lot more snow as well. Sometimes the colder it is, it doesn't necessarily snow. It's got to be kind of the sweet spot in temp. So coming off of what I would consider a mild winter as far as the cold factor goes, but great winter as far as the snow goes. Coming into spring now, early monsoon weather. It's 10 o'clock right now. I've been out here a bit, but it's only 10 in the morning. And it might be 70. I don't think so. I'd say about somewhere between 65 and 70. A little breeze. Sitting in the shade here, it's not chilly, but it's absolutely perfect. The weather has been really good this year. And I'm talking about, late from winter coming into spring and now approaching summertime. Wow, it's amazing. It's been amazing. Perfect weather for off-roading. You don't want it to be too hot. You gotta go down into the desert areas, 105 degrees. I'm dropping a lot of elevation from where I'm at now, and even a few thousand feet from my house into the deserty area, and it could get over 100 there pretty easily, especially if it's, an abnormally warm day. And the vehicles, they're fine, but they don't like it as much, right? The vehicles do like the cooler weather, especially if you're going to be kind of slow crawling around where you're not getting a lot of airflow through there. So it's just been amazing. It's been amazing. The only thing is, if you're not willing to get up and get out right away, you'll see the weather coming in. It'll keep you at home. But if you have stuff to do like I do in the garage, then it works out. It feels like, wow, yesterday I got all that stuff accomplished working on the Land Cruiser 60 series. I can't tell you how perfect the weather is right now. It's amazing. Yesterday was really windy. Really windy. Oh, by the way, when we get monsoon, we get hail as well. So it hailed yesterday. It hailed 3 days ago. And it was coming down pretty good. But yesterday, it was windy all day and like gusty. And you could see the really dark clouds in the distance earlier in the day than normal. It was, around this time. But that wind was keeping them away. It was keeping them right up against the mountains. And it wasn't until about 3-4 o'clock that it died down and allowed the storm front to get over and dump the hail on us and everything. Just some rumblings of thunder. I haven't seen any lightning, but thunder. A lot of rumblings of thunder. When we get into the real monsoon season, we get some really good thunder and lightning here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The tilapia turned out really good. When I cook my steak, salt and pepper, very minimalistic, right? When this one, again, it wasn't my idea, and she went and got me. I said, "Give me some fish. I don't know what kind of fish. Get me a steak as a backup," and she actually got a cucumber as well. She was talking about our squash. She was talking about possibly doing that. But then she came up with the idea to make bruschetta. And she said, you could take some of the bread and toast it and put it on there. Or you can make it and put it on top. So I didn't bring bread. And I made it and I put it on top. Garlic. So garlic and basil and tomato. And the tomato actually cut the seeds out. I didn't use any of the seeds. It's really good. Really good that way. Mixed up. I put a little heat to it. Normally you wouldn't do that, but I toasted down the garlic a little bit. Oh man. That layering of flavors, and I put it right on top of the fish, and the fish was still in the olive oil and butter, salt and pepper, and a little bit of that sweet spicy stuff. It was really good. Like it had something that I'm not used to out here, levels of flavor. Only like the last video where we did that big ossobuco cook, when Niels was cooking, that's another one of those things of just levels, layers of flavors. For me, I don't usually do it a little bit of a lazy cook, but I know what I like too. Like when it comes to steak, I want the steak to be good. I don't want all this other stuff. But for the fish, it worked out really good. And one thing that was really cool is the cleanup. Using the foil in the pan like that. I used to use that's how I used to cook the swordfish, but it would be on the grill itself, right under the flame. But putting it, I could have done it on this, but putting it in that pan, it was steaming it. And wow, the cleanup was so easy. Crumble that up, put it in my trash bag. That's it. It's so much cleanup out here is sometimes a pain in the butt. When I'm doing an overnighter or maybe 2 nights, I actually have to wash this stuff. Usually when I do a day trip, I'll wipe it down, wipe the food off, if there's anything on there. And then I keep all the stuff that needs to be cleaned separate. I don't put it back in my bags, and I clean it when I get home. But when you do the overnighter, you need to clean that stuff, depending on what you're cooking too. So, well, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Shorter video, but I love doing these. And I encourage you to get out and do something like this. Sometimes, just like I was saying, when I say there's 2 little things I want to do, I want to work on the 60, I'm just going to do those 2 little things. You get it done. If I have like this mega list of stuff, sometimes that'll prevent you from even going out there and starting it. It's the same thing with these little adventures. If you think you have to go out, you have to drive hundreds of miles, you have to camp, you have to buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars of food and all this stuff. Don't do that, because that'll prevent you from going out. The reason I do these and the reason I love doing these, for so many years, I only really had kind of like, when you think about it, you got like one day off on the weekend, right? So you work all the way. I worked long hours all the time. And Friday, I wasn't going anywhere. So I basically had Saturdays, because Sundays, I feel like I need to do stuff around the house. I need to wind down and get ready for another just epically long, ridiculous work week. So those Saturdays, it's just like, get your stuff together, go. Whether you're just going to go out for a few hours and cook, whether you're going to go out for a few hours and off-road, whether you're going to go out for a full day and off-road, cook, and do whatever, maybe go to the lake, maybe fish, whatever it is that you like doing. Don't be afraid to do something small like this. $3 worth of fish. I've got my cooking stuff, and I just get out for a few hours, do this, and man, wow. It even 4 or 5 hours out here, it feels like a full day, and it's totally relaxing. You can't hear anything, right? It's so nice out. All right, that is it for me, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, put down in the comments section how you do fish. This was just something that was kind of thrown together, and it worked. It worked for me. It worked. It was really flavorful. What do you guys do? What kind of fish? How do you prepare it? In a situation like out here, yeah, at home you can do so much more poaching and this, that. How would you do fish out here, and what kind of fish? I'm really interested in hearing what everyone does. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next weekend.